and the technology is just evolving into getting a little bit more smarter, a little bit more friendlier. And what really excites me from this whole entire thing is basically how it managed to crack some of the things. And one of the many things is all the mundane tasks that you're talking about. During my journey, not just in BAT, but my previous roles and stuff like that, mundane tasks are looked like a thing that you must do on a daily basis. There's no shortcut around it. But when I get on embark on this RPA journey, it's just a whole new creature that tells me that I don't need to do this anymore, and I get back some of my time to do something more valuable. So that's a little bit that what excites me when get into this RPA journey.
Thanks, Kento, for sharing. And off to our second speaker is Suye. So Suye is a regional adoption lead for data and automation. Thanks for joining us today, Suye.
Hi, Nat.
And here are some interesting facts about Suye. You ready or not? I'm reading it. Okay, so
Go ahead.
So Suye has been with BAT for 14 years, and she has many different roles from regional SAP design authority, and definitely joining various SAP projects in BAT. And her experience in digital world was to reduce the number of knowledge-related incidents raised to the SAP support organization. Leading a team of 2, she created the very first knowledge bot in BAT. So that is the very first bot, I presume. And since then, she pursued a change of her career to focus on digital transformation within the organization. And the last few years, Suye has been pioneering in establishing CEO Center of Excellence, from governance to driving adoption in both enterprise as well as citizen development. So here's an icebreaker question for you, same as Kento. What excites you in this automation journey, Suye?
What excites me the most is definitely the people. In my day-to-day role, I work with a lot of people from various groups and from various countries as well. And it is amazing to see how the change and the impact that we see in them once they have gone through the various upskilling and all the training programs that we give them. From them, when they come to us, they're kind of like, what is it about? Now, I'm not so sure, is it good or not? But after going through a very short period of understanding what the technology can do, you can actually see them to become the champions and the influencers in the organization in driving automation, both at enterprise and also at the citizen development area. So it's definitely the people.
That's great to hear. People is always our bread and butter in many ways. And now with both Kento and Suye, they are now at the front and center driving this transformation for BAT globally as part of their role. When I say globally, basically they are driving the impact for entire BAT in many, many countries. Okay, let's get into more serious matters, shall we? Okay, so last year, if I remember, 2021 is a pivotal year for BAT, where the company announced an ambitious program called Quest, right, to accelerate the company transformation to create the enterprise of the future. Now, the last letter of Quest, it was T, stand for technology and digital, is one of the 5 strategic business area in Quest. And intelligent automation at scale is one of the key work stream here. So Kento, this one for you. Given automation is a board member agenda, how does BAT set up to make it a critical and important for everyone?
Yeah. So Net, spot on. We started from an organization perspective that looks at a clear purpose, which is to build a better future, a better tomorrow by reducing the harm impact on our business. This includes everything from introduction of new categories, non-combustible product, as well as going beyond nicotine. So, to drive all these things, that's where Quest comes in, just to give a little bit of a perspective into things. And what we did with Quest and part of the key pillars that you mentioned earlier, which is the technology and digital, we kind of took 3 different approach and trying to meet them and marry them together in order to make this transformative journey. The first is basically, of course, the support from the leadership team, the top-down approach, where we look at critical processes that we can automate to drive out the maximum values of things, linking end-to-end processes, as well as introducing new capabilities, a little bit more intelligent capabilities to serve the requirements. The second part, which one of the reason why Suya is here is to talk about the people and how we empower the people from the bottom up. This is where we look at the opportunities of giving the right tool sets to people and giving the right education and also the mindset change that we bring all these people along the journey itself. And last but not least, of course, to make it more important and driving center force of for everybody is where we build the automation COE. This is an engine itself that is responsible not just for automating things, but also to do evangelism, support, looking at areas and opportunity where automation can actually happen.
Sounds good. So in the context of aligning all the automation initiative, you mentioned there are multiple tracks. How do we align this with company goal? What is your key business initiative, let's say for short term, mid term, and long term?
Yeah, I think we are looking at the quest objective towards 2025, and that's technology is just one of the many pillars that is driving towards all this. But in the immediate needs that we see or we wanted to be able to achieve, it's how can we take the current resource pool that we have and then give them more responsibility. It's not that we're trying to overload people, but it's basically to have them to do the right job that gives the right value to people. It's no longer about, cutting people doing more kind of things. It's you have that pool of people and then you just want to do more with that pool of people.
So in a way, Quest is everyone's job, right? Quest is in everyone's part of the job.
Yes, it's everybody's agenda.
Sounds good. Okay. And last year, BAT hosted a 4-day summit to bring together some of the biggest names in the industry, right? Including UiPath. It's called Time Summit. And one of the main objective of the Time Summit is this was broadcast to everyone, all the company employee, 50,000 of them, I remember, is to demystify automation and demonstrate how it can empower BAT employees and the people, right? So Suye, this one for you. What do you think is your biggest challenge in driving adoption at this scale? Is it the people, is it the operation, or the technology?
As much as the people factor excites me, I would say the answer for this, it's also the people. Adoption is driving change, driving uptake of something new, and it's nothing new. So it relates directly to people, and anything relating to people will take time. The people have different understanding, different culture, different maturity, and different responsibilities in their day-to-day work. So it takes a bit of time. And what we have learned, it is crucial that we have adoption teams or programs that are catered to different personas in the organization. It's not a one size that fits all. So we have to look into who our target audience is from the real working level on the ground, because these are very good people who knows what are the issues, the challenges that they have on the working ground. And to the various levels of managerial and also the senior group of people, we need to understand each and every group, how to cater programs that targets and suits them, not just suits what they like, what they need, but we also need to suit their working style. So for example, you can't get people into full-time training anymore. It's really difficult. So we have to cater for bite-sized training, recording trainings and things like that. So these are things that we have the challenge with the people. We need to find out how we can reach out to them as well.
I see.
Yeah,
and
so have a lot of passion, a lot of perseverance, and with great leadership support. To be honest, you will be amazed on the transformation that you can see from the people.
Completely agree, and I think Suye and the team in the adoption teams have been driving this for the longest, as I remember. and very, very successfully doing this. Now, I think
Right.
based on those challenges that Suye mentioned, how will you scale your automation agenda beyond 2022? And what will you do differently from before? Katie, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. Thank Nat. um this is my view. I won't do things much differently because when we started the journey similar to a lot of organizations. There's a proof of value that needs to happen. There is that, okay, we have that success story, and then how do we scale? That journey will never change, I think, for most of the organization. If it's anything that I want to change previously from now, we should have started sooner. That's what we see as of right now. In terms of how do we scale for 2023 and beyond. Just now I mentioned a little bit about the engine itself, which is the automation COE itself. If you look into it, automation sometimes may not be just automation, as in the sense that, hey, you become a passive passenger in this whole journey where people say, hey, I got a problem here, can you help me to automate it? That's a very passive approach, and it works at the beginning of things because we do not know where to go to hunt for automation, and we just rely on people that's coming back. But when you form something called an automation COE, you need to start now looking at empowerment. You need to start looking at delivery. You need to start looking at where can I hunt for automations, kind of things. And that's the whole objective for us from 2023 onwards. We will be looking at areas where we can actually find automations, and these are done things like process mining, task mining, kind of things, just to look at behaviors and patterns of things. And there could be a lot of things that we are missing out. It's good to be able to create that momentum for people to say, hey, look, automation should be your next Excel. It should be as simple as it is, and it also should be as tightly or closely knitted to you as your day-to-day job kind of activity.
Sounds
So
good.
that's some of the activity. Yeah.
I like the terms you mentioned. Automation should be your next Excel file. So, I hope so too. Anyway, cool.
Yeah, and Nat, just to add a little bit on
Yep.
to KT, we have, and KT has mentioned automation COE. That's definitely the next go-to theme that we are having. When we started, it was very much technology or platform centric. So what we have moved on is, after the beginning of times from platforms and technology, we have moved on into saying, hey guys, it's not just these various tools, but it's about automation. So we bring to the business, we bring to our users the experience of, you don't have to talk about what technology, let's talk about the real business case. Then we will go from discovery to realizing the solution for you. And that's what the whole theme is about beyond 2022 as well.
Sounds good. So it's super important to have whatever automation initiative link back to what's the business objective, right?
Yeah.
Great. Cool. And with that, what I also understand is BAT continuously driving digital transformation, especially in the manufacturing side, in order to reduce waste, lessen energy usage, let's say save personal times, all these things, and a range of scalable solutions support this focus group. That's my understanding, and that's including advanced analytics, machine learning, RPA, and so on. So based on this, what do you think the importance and role of AI plus RPA as an enabler for BAT future business model, especially with you touch base on focusing on the new product category, Kento?
Yeah. So Nat, you were mentioning earlier that we are transforming ourselves into the enterprise of the future. So it becomes more and more important that the technology becomes part of it and part of the organization to a certain extent. We see that the RPA, the role of AI, is a quick enabler to help us to achieve more with the current workforce that we have. Gaining productivity, giving back more values to our shareholders and as well as our consumers. That would always be our objective. So some of the many things that we actually did from this perspective was to have a very simple thing like a KPI that says our save, how helps us to identify area that we are able to leverage the resources to do more value adding activities. So enabling it via RPA enabling it via intelligence automation to a certain extent allowed us to now reskill all these people that we saved up man hours from and focus on the new category introduction and also the management of things. I believe that this is a critical path that we need to go through, and it's also a big mindset change that we need to introduce into the business itself.
So with that, is there any new area for transformation in your business using automation that you're keen to explore?
Yeah, there's a fair bit that we actually mentioned earlier. We have like process mining and task mining. It becomes a little bit more critical right now because all the low-hanging fruits are kind of gone. We've been 4 years into the journey, so where else should we start looking to get the right tool sets itself? And sometimes if you go to the business may even come back, for example, in finance or manufacturing and stuff like that. They say, hey, we are very happy where we are, but sometimes it still takes 10 days to process something. So where is the problem? I guess that will be unlocked by the technologies of process mining and task mining itself. That's one that we did. The second that we wanted to explore is because due to the rise of unstructured data coming on board, we are looking at technologies like in UiPath, the document understanding that you are doing. We hosted a hackathon. We opened 100 slot for people within the organization, and guess what? Within hours, we have to close it and then say thank you very much for your participant. That is really a proof of the unstructured data leaving in our organization that is coming into us, and we need to find a way to quickly process it, quickly move it along the pipeline. So those are some of the things, and I think it's not going to run away. We still have things like chatbot. People wanted a chatbot to do this. People are much more happy to interact on a natural language processing kind of thing rather than, hey, let me log the ticket or let me, get into SAP to do certain things like that.
Sounds good. And I think that leaned very well past to our next questions. With BAT, in the last 3 years at least, I've seen BAT is always at the top 20 most admired SaaS service organization. The GBS function in BAT now is called a DBS Digital Business Solution, which provide multifunctional, centralized value-added process support to BAT business around the world, right? And my understanding is they are leveraging big time automation, analytics, and process excellence. So, Suye, this is for you. How has their business and their role evolved post-COVID?
That's a very interesting question because COVID has brought some negative impact to our lives, but it has also brought a very interesting impact to digital usage of technology as a whole, not just in Southeast Asia or Asia Pacific, but it's throughout the world. Because suddenly or overnight, everyone needs to get on to a technology platform to collaborate. And that has resulted in people understanding technology a bit more. And with that, it makes automation also easier for people to embrace. So what we also notice is we are seeing a trend of, they will always ask, can I automate this first? And this is something we have been always wanting to drive: automation first mindset, simplify first mindset. And that is really something that that the COVID time has given a good positive drive in what we see, especially as in the GBS, our global business function. There's a lot of transactional processes that has a whole lot of opportunities for automation. So we do have a lot of RPA bots that is sitting behind doing the enterprise automation, and that has been there for since the past 3 years. However, having said that, what has been during the COVID time, past COVID, we see a lot of appetite for citizen developed ones. That means the people now are saying, can I automate this myself? And that has made us driving adoption much easier because there's a lot of appetite at the ground to learn. And we do see the numbers rising. We have some KPI reports that we measure the number of citizen developers, number of hours saved, and you'll be surprised that the numbers is actually rising every month. And the number of hours saved that has been provided by the solutions that or the automations that are delivered by the people on the ground is actually almost 50%, okay, of the total
Wow.
that we have. So this is actually very, very encouraging, and that's why there's a big agenda in terms of driving the citizen alongside the enterprise development.
Right. And I guess, like Katie mentioned earlier, this has to go hand in hand, right?
Yes.
There's no right or wrong, but in BAT, what works is both top-down and bottom-up initiative works very well hand in hand. Sounds great. So if I remember, one thing that most impressive robots that ever adopted is the 3R system. It's short of robots to robots to robots. And these 3 robots works independently, hand in hand, to automate different processes across function, across the operations, from speeding up the manufacturing process to be more timely, accurate in giving out the financial reporting. And it's all not only about improving employee experience, right? The 3R system also very beneficial, especially during the peak season. The high volume workload suddenly increase. And I think that's where humans are really able to work certain business hours, while robots can monitor 24/7, for example, in this case. So what do you think is a new operating model here for bots and humans to coexist as they progress in their business year?
It is already part of the journey. Okay, we may not have today we don't have an organization chart that says that line manager 1, person 2, and robot 1. This is definitely not in an official chart model, but it is not having it officially does not mean it doesn't exist. So for example, if I go into Microsoft Teams now and look at some of the line manager, you will start to see, okay, Asuya reports to A, and then there's another person. Then you will actually see a bot user ID. And that means there is a bot working for this particular team running processes. This is something that we are already seeing. It's just not made into very clear paper. And hence we do foresee that this will slowly change. For example, the 3 Rs. It is an entity running certain things. And we do foresee this kind of entities will start appearing as a bot and a human coexisting as part of a human and a digital workforce.
That's interesting. And I guess you'll see more bots ID appearing in your Outlook sooner or later.
Yes, and your team's organization chart.
Indeed.
Or, yes, whoever is using it.
Great. And this is one of the topics that I think everyone now digging into this topic around ESG, right? And recently, what I see in the news, and congrats BAT for doing this. BAT appointed a new Chief Sustainable Officer, and I think in most of the mature company, this is a huge step forward. I think it's not only reflecting BAT intent and the increasing strategic importance of both ESG and sustainability, but it also means that with supports of range of different digital solution, and then now basically what we're doing is we're now streamlining your manufacturing plants across the globe, right? And that's also aligned with the big vision, my understanding, a better tomorrow with sustainable target to significantly decarbonize by 2030. So I think, Kento, this for you, how are you leveraging technology for good in your ESG imperative, and how can UiPath help you with this?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Nat. That's a very good question. Sustainability has always been part of our core, even in defining a better tomorrow kind of purpose that we have for the organization. So I'm going to give the standard answer where everybody says, where does the RPA helps, which is reporting. Uh, gathering all this information from everywhere it doesn't come easily. I think that's the introduction of bots by default get in there. But I think sometimes we give a little bit too less credit. Consolidating of report may seems to be a little bit uh, too easy for people. They say, hi, I can do it in Excel and stuff like that. Wait until you need to submit all these things to the compliance, to the right authorities and stuff like that. You may not be so happy that Excel can do that kind of format. But that said, we do not just rely on reporting for automation. So what we do is we actually go into using automation to look at compliances as well. So we are working with the compliance teams to say how are we keeping our processes, our systems in compliance to ensure that we do not break the ESG initiative that we spent so long time to build as well. That's going to be an interesting objective. We have in pipeline some objective that we want to work a little bit more closer to say is how do we even manage those controls? How can we detect anomalies that's along the way? Who is the outliers that's not following the rules through automations? And these are some of the objectives that we are putting in automation to help to enforce the ESG story.
Sounds great. And I think you very humble, didn't share much more example, but here I am, I'm going to share it. So I think one of the example that I've seen you guys did very well is the chiller in manufacturing plant, right? And from what I'm reading is it was helping factory becoming more sustainable by managing its energy consumption smartly, right?
Yeah.
With a platform that implemented not only collecting all the data at real time, enable you to faster analysis, but also resulting in 50% reduction in energy consumption in chillers at the factory. I think that's real life example. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is last questions. We are almost at the top of the hour. So maybe this for Suye, what's your advice for other people out there, other company on how to be successful in their automation journey?
Right. I have only 1 more minute, 60 seconds. I hope I can finish it. 2 points which I hold very closely to my heart. Number 1, be ready. Number 2 is be authentic and genuine. What do I mean by be ready? Before we can drive any adoption, because you can get very excited, it's imperatively stop for a while. We must ensure that the building blocks of the platform is ready. Security is ready, governance is ready, support is there, knowledge support community is there, and all these compliance building block must be ready. If not, you can't go and sell something that is not fully ready. And that is the fundamental that needs to be built. And once it's ready, then it's a good time for us to start driving adoption, getting people to use, because the people needs to feel safe that they are using a platform that has someone watching over it, that is being governed for both the enterprise and the citizen developed built items. Number 2, be authentic and genuine. As we have always been dealing with people, it needs to be user-centric, customer journey-centric. We need to understand what they need, have different programs that resonates to them. No one size fits all, very important. And this is not an overnight journey. So yeah, be genuine, be authentic, and enjoy the journey.
Sounds good.
That's all I have to say. Thanks.
All right. And with that, it's a wrap of this session. Thank you again, King To and Suye, for sharing your story today. And we can't wait to hear more innovation and more exciting story from BAT in future.
Thanks, Nat, for having us.
Thanks, Nat, for having us. Yeah, thanks UiPath as well for organizing this.
Great. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Hope to see you all in our next webinar. And don't forget to submit the feedback. It will be prompt to you after we end this webinar. Great. With that, bye for now and have a great weekend, everyone.
Recording stopped.